Welcome back to StrayaMania. It's only a wrestling podcast called StrayaMania. I'm your host, Ricki and
And I'm Michael Thompson.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, yourself?
Yeah, I'm alright. We've just got some breaking news, I guess, which sort of... It's shit. It fucking sucks, man. So, Brock Lesnar, he won at UFC 200. We were both like, fuck yeah, great. He's been done for doping. Allegedly, at this stage. His A sample has tested positive. Waiting on the results of the B sample, but just after John Jones and all the shit that happened with DC having to fight Anderson Silva, and now this has come out,
and Roman Reigns as well,
and Roman Reigns, of course. And now what we cover in wrestling. It's all fucked, man.
Because ESPN actually broke the story this morning on Twitter that Brock Lesnar had tested positive for doping, and I saw it on Twitter this morning. I'm like, oh shit, okay, so we're gonna see how this goes, because now the potential Orton vs Lesnar match, which everyone's been dying to see, main event at SummerSlam, could potentially not happen if WWE do opt to suspend Brock Lesnar for 30 days. But if they do it swiftly now, they could still salvage the main event in some capacity. Lesnar won't appear on TV, but the main event will still happen in some capacity if they act upon it now.
Yeah, but you got to think he's coming back tainted. Everyone's going to know that he got done for doping at UFC 200. That win's not going to count on his record. And it's going to be the same situation when Roman Reigns comes back, is the fans might turn him. Like, they're obviously probably going to give Reigns a really hard time when he comes back, because he already has that negative perception with the majority of the crowd.
He's already getting hard done by,
yeah,
in the back anyway, by Vince and Kevin Dunn and all that, because Vince is now no longer high on Roman Reigns anymore because of what's happened.
But you got to think with Brock, the crowd loves him. He's a massive fan favourite because of who he is and how big he is, and just the freak of nature that he is. Will he get a big negative response like we expect Roman Reigns to get when he comes back? That's sort of the question now, is how will the fans treat Brock Lesnar after he's been done for doping, something that he has never been done for throughout his entire competitive career. Wrestling, amateur wrestling, WWE, NFL, UFC, back to WWE, that entire time, never been done for doping. He's now allegedly been caught with a banned substance in his system. Will he get a negative reaction from the crowd when he comes back?
It's a good question, because if you look at, for example, WWE, Randy Orton and RVD have both tested positive in the past and all that, and they haven't come back with as much negative reaction on it. The fans still love him. So I think for the fact that Lesnar is so well liked by everyone, it could easily be forgiven.
Yeah.
With Roman Reigns, though, everyone just hates him, and they're going to give him shit for it no matter what. But I think with Brock, yes, his career is going to be tainted a little bit, and he's potentially destroyed what was going to be probably one of the best built-up storylines heading to SummerSlam. But we could see maybe Orton versus Brock at WrestleMania if they can't do the match at SummerSlam.
Or Rumble, maybe.
Or maybe Royal Rumble as well. Something for both of them to do, which would be good, because it's the match that we've all been dying to see for the last 14 years, because they both came out together.
Yeah. And there was, one match back in 2002?
Yep, when Lesnar was already established, and Orton was just that rookie heel who was just learning the ropes still. And
yeah, so that doesn't count.
No.
It's not them as their current state.
It was on SmackDown as well.
It was on SmackDown, well, there you go. Actually, that's what we're here to talk about. Anyway, we can touch back on that maybe a bit later. But this podcast is our pre-draft podcast. We're doing one of these after the draft, and we go weekly as of next week, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm being excited by this, actually.
Yeah, I know.
And we've got so many things that we've got in store as well.
Yes.
More video content.
Yes, hopefully we can get some video content done at some point. It is very hard to sort of organise everything, but we will get there eventually. But yeah, as of next week, weekly podcasts every Thursday Australian time. So after Raw, SmackDown, and NXT have all aired, we can then talk about everything that we saw from all of those shows. So, so the draft this Wednesday for us. It's happening. SmackDown going live. We're basically here to talk about what we think is going to happen, what we reckon should happen, who's going where, who's going to be split up, who's going to be put together,
which NXT stars are coming to WWE, because Triple H has already said, and I read this morning as well, he's already bracing for the raid to begin this weekend. A lot of superstars are going to get phone calls, emails, text messages, taps on the shoulders at live events going, oi, pack your bags, you're heading to SmackDown on Tuesday, you're going to be unveiled.
Yeah, so I reckon we start off with this. What is your one big prediction for the draft? Do you have one big one that you know this is my definite? This is what I reckon is going to happen.
This is definitely my definite. Finn Balor makes the debut on SmackDown Live.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be on Raw. I think they'll keep him for SmackDown because everyone loves him.
Yep.
They want people to watch SmackDown. They'll wait until the Tuesday night to unveil Finn Balor as probably a middle draft pick. He won't be number 1, number 2, number 3. I'd say he'd probably be number 6 or number 7. Which show, though, I don't know. But he'll be in the middle pecking order of the draft. And he'll be unveiled, and the fans are all going to go nuts when they see him. Because it's been a long time coming.
Alright. That's probably what's going to happen. What I reckon it'd be more effective, especially with Finn, because there is this hype about the guy. Massive in NXT. He's been teasing coming up to the main roster for ages now.
You see Kevin Owens' shirt on SmackDown?
Yeah,
he
wearing
wore
a fucking Finn Balor shirt.
How?
There's so many signs out there. He's coming. But like for
That's
me,
probably the biggest sign of war is when,
Kevin Owens,
one of the biggest heels in the WWE is wearing your t-shirt.
But for me, it's like I would much rather see the guy in a surprise debut role, like come out and interrupt a match between somebody. Like that is what I'd much rather see. Like say, save it for Battleground, save it for maybe the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match. After the match is over, Finn comes out and attacks whoever, probably Kevin Owens because they've got history. That would be a more effective way of introducing him. I don't want him just to be like, and the number 6 draft pick to Raw is Finn Balor. And then he just comes out and he's in his leather jacket and he's like, hey, and that's it. I want to see him make a fucking impact, like a big impact. But I think you're right, it's going to just be him debuting.
What would be a really good impact as well if the lights go out during the Cena, Enzo and Cass versus the club match and all that. He comes out and just attacks John Cena or Enzo and Cass and helps the club win. Finn turns heel, which a lot of people have been teasing for now because Gallows and Anderson have been nagging people in live events, Twitter, social media. When's Finn Balor coming to the main roster? And Finn Balor's like, very soon, my friend. Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of Finn, he had what we believe his final match on NXT this past week against Shinsuke Nakamura. It was a pretty good match.
It was.
I wouldn't say match of the year quality, but it was still pretty good.
The ads killed it.
It did, and it was just, like I said this to you earlier, it's like it felt like these two guys were going about 80%. Feels like they're building towards, like, you know, you want these two guys, you know, WrestleMania one year, going out there main eventing, they could tear the place down.
SummerSlam next year.
SummerSlam next year would be even like as good as well. So it felt like these two guys were sort of holding back, but it feels like it was Finn's last match. But the way he worked the match was a very heel-ish type of match because he found a body part and he just attacked. He attacked, and just his sort of facial expressions and the way he was selling and that, it was more of a heel-esque Finn Balor match, which we've been starting to see here and there. There are plenty of little seeds of him possibly turning heel with the club, and I think you're right. A Battleground could come out help the club beat Cena, Enzo, and Cass. So
that'll be a good way to make an impact.
Yeah,
and it would be shocking as well.
Yeah, and it just feels like with this guy, there's so much hype about him. I don't want it to be just here's Finn Balor, pick number 6 on Raw or SmackDown. It just wouldn't have that same impact because there's so much hype about the guy. So I think leave him off the draft at Battleground. Have him come out and interfere in a match or something. Just have that massive impact that a guy like him, and we both know, Triple H is fucking high on the guy. He really wants him to be massive. He needs a big impact debuting. But I think, unfortunately, you're right. He will just come out and it'll be, hey, Finn's on the main roster now. Still cool, but I just think if they want him to be like a upper mid-card main eventer right away, he needs to make a big impact. So,
and
I guess we'll see.
If he's drafted to SmackDown as well, with Cena and Styles in the club, then we know exactly where they're leaning towards.
Exactly, and it sort of does give away sort of his first storyline if that is the case. He's on SmackDown,
and which he's going to join the club,
where we expect Cena, Styles, and all that to go. My big prediction is they're bringing a second belt back. I don't want it. I don't think we need it. But just with the change in terminology, what I think it was last week, or week before, no longer the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, it is now the WWE Championship, which means they're bringing back the big gold belt or some variation of that.
I think you're right.
It feels like it. And if Cena and Styles are both going to SmackDown, it seems like they want those two guys to shore up that show and be fighting over the belt, probably at SummerSlam. It's going to be whoever wins gets the big gold belt and is now the champion of SmackDown. I don't really want it though. Do you want a second World Championship belt or not?
Well, it became redundant after 2005, 2006 when Batista moved over there, and the belt wasn't as relevant as it was when it was on Raw, when it was first unveiled by Eric Bischoff and Triple H, because the only reason why it was so big is because Triple H was part of the story. He was always part of the program with the world title belt.
Yeah.
But then it became redundant when Batista won it. And moved over to SmackDown because, they're all like, John Cena's WWE champion. He needs to be in every main event.
Yeah. Especially when you got to the sort of core of the brand split, which I think was 2006 through 2010. Every WrestleMania, probably bar a couple, that World Championship would open the show and the WWE Championship would close the show.
Yeah.
I think the only exception to that was the co-main event when Cena was when Cena was fighting for it. It was the second to last show, match on the card.
And WrestleMania 24 between Edge and The Undertaker when it was the main event match for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Well, that's because it's Taker. Taker's that other level sort of guy. So, yeah, but those few exceptions were, other than those few exceptions, it was the opener. So, the Daniel Bryan match, Alberto Del Rio versus Edge and Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger, I think were both openers for WrestleMania.
I feel really bad for that WrestleMania 29 though, because they did so well with Swagger and Del Rio in that storyline. Yet when they finished that little video package, Swagger was already in the ring with Zeb Coulter, and they're like, in the ring, the opponent, Jack Swagger. I'm like, well, where's his intro? Where was his entrance? And because he was already busted for doing marijuana a month beforehand, I think that was his punishment. He didn't get that WrestleMania entrance.
Yeah, that's shit.
Because he was supposed to win that title as well, I think, from Del Rio at WrestleMania, but because of what he did, they sort of punished him and said, no, you're not winning WrestleMania, you're not going to have your own entrance, you're just going to be in the ring like a jobber at WrestleMania, and we're going to punish you like that.
Yeah, which, shit. But stuff like that hurt that title's prestige. And unless, Cena or Taker or Edge had the belt, it didn't feel like a big deal at all. So, I don't know, that's what I'm sort of worried about happening again. It's cool, they're going to put it on AJ or Cena, sort of first on SmackDown, great. But then you're going to get guys who just aren't at that level getting shots that they shouldn't, and it's going to devalue the belt again, which kind of sucks. So that's my big thing. It's there should be a way to have the belt go between brands. You have a feud one month, you have a feud the other month on the other brand. You can do that in a way that keeps that belt, you have the belt in the middle and both brands with guys fighting to get that number one contendership spot on their own show, trying to get at that belt. And I think that could actually make some compelling storylines. And even when you get to the big four where you have the cross-promotional pay-per-views, you have whoever the champion's fighting, and then you can have a SmackDown v Raw number one contendership match for whoever gets a shot at the belt next. So you could have, your number one guy from Raw, your number one guy from SmackDown. Fight it out in a match at the big four pay-per-view, and then they get the shot at the belt next. That would be a cool way to do that. So I think they can make it work, but I think they're just going to lean on what they know, what they've done before, bring a second belt back, and I think it's going to be cool for maybe the first 12 to 18 months, and then someone's going to hold that belt that probably shouldn't, and it's going to devalue it pretty quickly.
It is. I mean, we're most likely, because, going back to the Brock thing, which we talked about earlier at the start of the podcast, if that falls through, then that for the world title, it's going to be AJ versus John Cena in the main event of SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Which A is going to be pretty cool because, it shows that they're actually giving the world title its main event run. It's the last match on the card, and it's big for SmackDown, but it may sort of be devalued, as you said, later on. It may just be redundant yet again, and who knows, they might unify the belt again in 5 years' time.
Oh, God, they just did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
It feels like yesterday.
And that was a wasteful 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That match in 2013 between Cena and Orton, that was 2014, that was just a waste.
Yeah.
It felt like they just wasted... no.
Yeah, no, it was just... It didn't really build to anything and nothing really happened, and then...
Vince gave up, he's like, oh damn it, we'll just put the belts together, and he's like, oh wait, we've got enough people on the roster. Let's do a brand split. Let's bring the belt back. Because everyone wants the belt back.
Yeah, it was just literally like a couple of years ago, and they're doing it again.
Let's make the belt look strong, damn it.
Oh, I love it. Alright, so they're sort of our two big predictions. They're things that we really don't want to happen the way that we think they're going to happen, but they probably are anyway, because the WWE is extremely predictable. What we don't want them to be is, we don't want them to be predictable. We want them to prove us both wrong right now.
Be unpredictable.
Yes, do something different, do something cool, and yeah, make us, especially want to watch both shows. That is the big key here. Like, there's going to be people out there that are going to be like, my favourite wrestlers on SmackDown, I'm only watching SmackDown from now on. My favourite wrestlers on Raw, I'm only watching Raw from now on. That's going to happen. But what there needs to happen, I think this is the big thing. The WWE has no competition. That is a fact ever since they bought ECW. No matter how much you think TNA's competition, it ain't. New Japan, sorry, not going to happen.
TNA's close to bankrupt anyway.
Yeah, they're apparently going to sell again, or try to, and bail themselves out. We'll see.
Dixie Carter's just crying her eyes out.
Oh,
she's gone through way too many tissue boxes in the last 2 years.
That's funny. But yeah, like I say, like TNA was competition for a little bit, but they're not anymore. New Japan, not going to happen. Ring of Honor, all the indie promotions, too small. Even if they're banded together, they would still be too small. The best thing WWE can do is create competition from the inside, which I think this is the perfect example of. Have two separate writing teams. Separate those motherfuckers as much as you can. They don't have contact with each other, except for when storylines need to cross over brands. Separate them. They are now in direct competition with each other, so is the talent, to make their show better than the other one. If you can create competition from within the company, you are going to elevate storylines, you're going to elevate people that deserve to be elevated, you're going to have great wrestling matches, great storylines, and
more on-screen time as well for those who don't get enough on-screen time.
Yes, exactly. With the smaller rosters, you are going to see like guys like Cesaro actually getting out there and being able to talk and show off their side of personality that is going to connect with the fans. If they do this right, and this is a massive if, this is like the biggest fucking if you could think of.
Put in bold letters.
Big bold letters as high as a fucking skyscraper. If they do this right, it could be a second Attitude Era. If they could pitch it so that you got WWE versus ECW style, it's obviously WWE versus WWE, but if you could pitch that sort of, we have to be better than them or we're going to lose in the ratings war to them. And you're going to know, the minute the brand gets split, those Monday and Tuesday numbers are going to be compared to each other at every business meeting. It's going to be who's drawing bigger numbers, who's got more attention. If you can do that right, you can have the big fight going on between the two brands, who can be better, and it's just going to elevate both brands together. And we're going to see better wrestling on TV, which is what we all want. How big is that if? Is it too big of an if?
It's a good if. I love the if. I mean, that's what they were doing originally with the brand splits in 2002, 2003.
But it just petered off after a while.
It did.
It just died.
But like early 2002, when SmackDown was sort of, their own brand as well again, it was good to see the competition on because they put on ace matches, the Edge versus Eddie Guerrero matches.
Yeah.
And then 2003, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. That program was so good. Everyone tuned in every week to SmackDown to see what would happen between Angle and Lesnar because just how good that storyline is. If they can do that again, it'd be perfect.
Oh, the SmackDown 6 was a massive part of that. They got 6 guys that were just unreal in the ring. Just the quality of match was fantastic, and then they managed to craft these great stories around that, especially with stuff like Eddie and Ray. A lot of great stories around that. So there is potential. There's this potential there, and it's like every fan right now is like, fuck, if they get this right, it could be great. But if they screw it up, it's going to be like the old brand split and no one's going to care.
Exactly, and have like one superstar go from SmackDown to Raw, back to SmackDown, similar to what John Cena did in 2011 at the start of the show.
God.
He went from Raw to SmackDown and then back to Raw on the same night. It's like, what? How does that work?
That was so dumb. I hated that.
I hate the WWE sometimes for doing stuff like that.
Those fucking assholes.
Probably the next thing I do want to bring up as well as part of this is the General Managers. Because there was a leakage online that Daniel Bryan has been announced as the SmackDown General Manager, which will be interesting because everyone loves Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
People will tune in every week to watch Daniel Bryan run the show.
Yes.
Everyone will engage in a massive yes chant with Daniel Bryan on a Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, wherever the hell they are watching around the world.
Yes. I'm keen for this. I think he he has that sort of, not that overbearing personality, but he's just so nice that you can tell that the backstage stuff is going to be him just convincing people to do stuff because of the way he is. And I can, instead of being, because we've had so many fucking heel general managers, I'm sick of it. I'm over it. The shtick has been done.
Well, the AJ's general manager was actually pretty funny because she put Daniel Bryan and Kane together, which turned out to be the greatest tag team in the WWE, and she put them to anger management therapy, which was also funny as well. Yeah. You know what would be even better?
Yep.
Daniel Bryan can have Kane as his assistant general manager.
Oh,
how
God,
cool would that
yes.
be? Team Hell No, back together on SmackDown, but except they're both managers. That would be like
that would be great.
It'd be like co-general managers basically, but basically Daniel Bryan's the top dog and Kane has to listen to Daniel Bryan. All Kane can give, and they can have a bit of infighting as well, a bit of comical moments. Like that is entertainment.
That
at
is
its
great.
best.
That is great. I think that is actually a possibility because like he's been off TV for ages. He came back I think a couple of weeks ago. Had a match
on July 4th.
Yeah, had a match with Biz.
Yep. And on the July 4th edition as well of.
Oh, he was in the tag team match? That's right,
that stupid match that
was terrible.
That Raw never happened.
No, it didn't.
TNA won that ratings war that week, which is really sad.
I know. So, that is a big possibility. Alright, but that means we've got Shane as the... What do they call him?
Commissioner.
The commissioner, okay. They've used these words so much they have no meaning anymore.
No. COO originally. I'm like Triple H is technically still the COO of the company, so that would defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
The last commissioner was William Regal.
That's right.
He got fired even though he kissed Mr. McMahon's ass on live TV to keep his job in the first place.
Because like early 2000s it was commissioner, and then it changed to general manager somewhere in like the mid 90s because like Steve Austin used to be the commissioner of Raw. I think Shawn Michaels was the commissioner for a while. Yep. Mick Foley was the commissioner for a while.
Well, Mick Foley was actually a pretty good commissioner because he would be in the boiler room. Yeah. People would come to him and all that, and he'd have a gavel and he'd be banging the gavel down on the on a makeshift table.
I love Mick Foley.
And that ruling is final. You've got a match next.
Love it. But then they started using the general manager term. So I guess commissioner's bigger than general manager, whatever. So we've got Shane McMahon as commissioner, Daniel Bryan as GM. So that's a face team on the SmackDown show.
And
so you got
Stephanie Kane as the assistant.
As the assistant, that'd be really cool.
He might be a face as well because of just.
He has been a face for a while now.
He could be a tweener though.
Yeah.
With Daniel Bryan, which would be funny.
But like the whole him like the after he got wasn't fired, he couldn't use the corporate Kane image anymore. Or whatever.
Because he lost to Seth Rollins in a match.
Yeah,
Kane lost to Seth Rollins.
He went back to being a face because he got ousted from the authority. So
yeah,
but you got a heel commissioner with Steph McMahon. You got to assume it'd be a heel general manager on Raw with her. Give me some names. Who you got? What do you reckon?
Probably the first one that stands out is Triple H. That's the first one that stands out because most likely Stephanie will probably say that'll be a good idea. You know, Shane versus Triple H. It'll be a good rivalry between the son-in-laws for sort of fight of the company.
But then you got to think that means that Stephanie's the commissioner up here, and Triple H is the general manager down here.
Which means Triple H has to listen to Stephanie.
Yeah, which I don't think because they were always like the partnership, the authority. So I think unless Steph just didn't do a general manager and just brought Triple H back as the authority, and it was just those two running things, and then like whenever Triple H is off doing NXT stuff, Steph's there. Whenever Steph's doing Steph things, Triple H is there. They could do it like that, but I think they're going to have
a fresher.
So, yeah, someone underneath them to run stuff like Kane was, or like the guy that got fired was
John Laurinaitis.
No. What's his name? He wrestled a bit and then got fired on SmackDown for saying people are pricks or something. What's his name?
Brad Maddox.
Brad Maddox, thank you. It was weird back then because it was like Triple H and Stephanie, then Kane, then Brad Maddox. It was this weird fucking hierarchy. Anyway,
Vicky might be a potential.
Vicky, yeah, potentially.
I don't know how she's going with her job as a pharmaceutical receptionist.
Yeah, so I think because most of the people they brought back just for like a bit of nostalgia.
Well, John Laurinaitis might be potential because he is doing stuff with the company. He is married to the Bella's mother.
He's Daniel Bryan's stepdad-in-law. fuck? That makes my head hurt. And probably soon to be John Cena's stepdad-in-law. For fuck's sake.
It's a real brain buster.
Oh my god, it's so weird.
See,
anyway.
that's what happens when a brain buster hits you, but you don't get actually hit by the brain buster.
Wrestling's dumb.
It is. John Laurinaitis, I'd say he'd probably be another favourite John Laurinaitis because, it wasn't Stephanie that told John Laurinaitis to piss off. It was Shane that told John Laurinaitis to piss off.
Yeah, true.
Which would be good as well. It'd be good to have John Laurinaitis back as the heel general manager because he gets a lot of heat on him. And there's a few superstars, e.g. Dean Ambrose, that could get under his skin as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd be really good it'd be entertaining to watch. It'd be compelling television to watch.
Yeah.
Because we saw what happened with John Laurinaitis and CM Punk. Those two had a massive feud towards the latter part of 2011 because it all started when CM Punk did that pipe bomb and called John Laurinaitis a douchebag of a yes man.
See, was John Laurinaitis on TV at that point or not? Had he been on TV at all? Or was he still backstage?
I think it was a week after that he was in the spotlight because he came up with Vince McMahon behind him the next week after CM Punk dropped that pipe bomb.
Yeah. Because,
And he also tripped over as well at Money in the Bank.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, because I remember going back to that promo, and then I was trying to remember the timeline of when John Laurinaitis actually appeared as an on-air personality, and I'm like, did the pipe bomb actually precede that? Like, just CM Punk was just name-dropping John Laurinaitis for the sake of it, and then they were like, we can make an angle out of this, get John Laurinaitis on TV.
I think CM Punk generally hated John Laurinaitis.
I think he did. Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
that was a good way to bring it into a storyline, like a real-life bad blood between Punk and Laurinaitis.
Yeah, no, I think
they didn't like each other at all, and
it was like the feud with him and Triple H. They generally did not like each other.
No,
and it worked. The chemistry between them was fucking insane.
Yeah, because John Laurinaitis sort of helped Kevin Nash get rid of Triple H and run him off TV for a very long time by distracting him.
No, that Kevin Nash storyline was why do it? It made no fucking sense. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
See, John Laurinaitis is probably favourite.
Yeah,
Raw, I'd say.
I really can't think of anyone else in a heel capacity who isn't doing all that much right now. Like, another name that comes to mind is you could turn the Big Show back heel and make him the general manager, but no one wants to see that.
Paul Heyman, because Lesnar's not doing
it'd be good, but it's not going to happen. Like, it'd be amazing, but no. And the thing is, like, the reason you don't see Paul Heyman as much as you do, like, even with Brock Lesnar, because he has his own company. He's running his own production company that does work with the WWE at times, but he also works with other contractors. So it's like he's got his own shit. He doesn't really have time to be on Raw every single week doing this.
Zeb Coulter would have been good if they kept him around because he would have been an interesting heel general manager.
He would have.
And plus, if for example, if Coulter was general manager of Raw and Swagger was on Raw because of what happened between Coulter and Swagger, Coulter can just make Swagger's life miserable on Raw. That would have been good to see.
Yeah,
like handicap matches against like Big Show or any other big person in the company, or they bring someone big or something like Braun Strowman, something like that. Like he'd be getting his ass kicked by the Whites maybe every week.
Yeah, like there's plenty of potential there.
But that would have been good. Like Zeb Coulter, run him off TV, but they released him before they announced they were doing a brand split.
I know, it was such a weird time to do that, wasn't it? Like it was like we've released these talent 2 weeks later. Oh, by the way, we're doing a brand split. We need more people for the talent pool.
Zeb would have been good.
Fuck me. Yeah, he would have. And no one else really at the moment is springing to mind who could be a heel, who could be someone who could rock up to Raw every week and have good chemistry with Steph, have good chemistry with the rest of the roster, and be an effective heel general manager. No one else is coming to mind.
Or maybe they might promote William Regal back to being Raw general manager again.
Maybe, but he's doing such a good job on
NXT.
Like, and he's down there and he's there at the Performance Center every week as a trainer as well.
But they might bring Albert up as maybe the next general manager of NXT.
Yeah, possibly.
If William Regal is announced as Raw general manager, then we'll say Albert's going to be the next general manager. Or what's his? I think he's going under his real name, Matt Bloom now.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah.
He is Matt Bloom.
So it'd be Matt Bloom. Even though we all know it's Albert, he could be general manager of NXT.
One that would be a left fielder. And speaking of NXT, Corey Graves as the heel general manager.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
It would be left of field and out of... it would be fucking out of nowhere. It'd be great. It'd be a good way to elevate him before you put him on. Like, give him 6 months before you put him on the commentary team. Let him do that backstage, get used to how the WWE does things compared to what NXT does. That would be fucking awesome. And he's a great heel commentator. He's fantastic.
He might even be on SmackDown one day with Mauro Ranallo, and that'll be awesome.
Yeah, fucking great. That'd be so good. Actually, no, even better though. Even better. Corey Graves with Maggle. Because Corey Graves isn't going to listen to fucking any of Maggle's shit.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, no, you're a dickhead. It's going to be great. That's like a left of field one I can think of. Like, it's just a heel in the company who isn't in a wrestling role who could do that. And like, really, all he does really is he does the commentary on NXT when it's taped. He does the pay-per-view pre-show panel. He has Mondays free. I'm assuming he has Mondays free. He could fly to wherever they need him to go, still maintain his duties on NXT as a commentator. But he could just fly wherever they need him to go on Mondays and be the GM.
Yeah.
That's a good left of field one that would be fresh, it would be new, not repeating itself. And then you've got the cool thing is you got two guys who were, in him and Daniel Bryan, careers cut short earlier than they should have been due to neck injuries. So you've got sort of like the light and the dark. You've got Corey Graves, tattoos, weird hairstyle, the heel, and then you've got Daniel Bryan, clean cut, beard, whatever.
The indie darlings.
Yeah, but they're both indie darlings. Like, that would be, and like having them interact with each other would be fucking great. So, there you go, Corey Graves. That is an completely new, fresh take on the GM. I think it would actually work really well. So,
I like that.
Yeah, not bad.
I really do.
Alright, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up, or have we sort of covered most of... Alright, first 5 for each brand. We've got to do that.
Yep. I was going to mention Sasha Banks' potential opponent. Oh, not opponent, sorry. Partner for...
Partner? It's Bayley.
It's Bayley.
Yeah, it's got to be Bayley.
Yeah.
If it's fucking Eva Marie, I swear to God, I'm done with wrestling. Jesus Christ, that would be terrible. It's got to be Bayley.
Or Emma.
Is she right to compete again, or is she still out?
I'm not sure.
Because it was a neck injury.
Yeah, they didn't know how long she was going to be out for.
I reckon she's probably out for another couple of months. If it's something like that, they're going to give her time to get back in the ring. And
it would have been cool to see Emma come back, and Dan's face would have gone, "Oh no, freaking way!"
Yeah,
you're back. Shit.
Awesome way to turn her face. Like, that'd be perfect.
But please keep the theme song, because the dubstep is good.
Yes.
And keep the look. Just keep the look. But she can be a good girl.
With their gloves and aviators.
I love it. I love her look.
I know.
She's still hot.
I know. Good old cunt Emma.
Go to the Aussies.
But yeah, no, you got to think it's Bayley.
Yeah.
It's definitely Bayley.
Does she appear on SmackDown Live, or do you think Battleground?
No. Same as Finn Balor. Keep her off TV. Let her make a fucking huge impact. Just come as a surprise. Because that takes her from being main eventer in NXT to fucking main eventer in WWE like that.
You know what would actually be really good before they play her music?
Yeah.
Just the flame, the things just go up in the air.
Inflatable flailing tube.
Before her music hits,
yes.
Fans will go nuts and then hit her music.
Yeah, and the people just be like, what the fuck? Like, people who don't know NXT be like, what the fuck's going on here? And then the rest of the crowd just realises and goes fucking mental. Love it.
Because they've been chanting for Bayley since WrestleMania.
I know.
They've been wanting Bayley to be on the main roster since WrestleMania. And
she's got a match with Nia Jax next week on NXT, and then
I think she's taking on
Asuka at
Brooklyn.
Back to Brooklyn. But as we've seen in the past, with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, both pulled double duty, both done NXT and main roster duty, so could happen again. So I reckon it's got to be Bayley.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm down for Bayley.
All right, so first 5 picks. So you got to think Cena's going to SmackDown.
Yep.
Based on what happens this week, because it's weird, because you got Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. A lot of people are saying Seth Rollins gets the title. So if Seth Rollins gets the title, Steph's picking him first.
Yep.
If not, it's going to be hard because of her saying that she doesn't like Dean, doesn't want Dean as the champion. Whether she will actually pick him first, even though he is the champion. So, I guess, does Dean lose the title this Monday?
No, I think he'll keep it to Battleground. I don't think Seth will win it then. But, in saying that, Stephanie, regardless, will have Ambrose and Rollins as her first 2 picks, because Shane will pick Cena and Styles, or Styles and Cena first.
Yeah. So after those, we've got basically the first 2 picks each are set in stone. You got to think that's what they're doing. It gets a bit harder after that.
It does.
So you got sort of your mainstays that have been around forever. So you got like your Randy Ortons, your Chris Jerichos, whether they want to go that route or whether they want to go younger, picking guys like whether they pick the club straight off the back or they pick like the New Day or the Wyatt family or Enzo and Cass, whether they split Enzo and Cass up, which I fucking hope they don't.
Apparently they're splitting the New Day up as well.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. I don't want that to happen either. They're still so fuck, and that's the worst thing. We're going to WWE Live, and ever since day one, the 3 names that have remained constant on our bill has been the fucking New Day. If they break them up before they come to Melbourne and say, "Oh, Melbourne," I'm gonna be mad. I am gonna be so mad if they break up the New Day and we don't get that. I need to be there and have that happen. Fuck, I'm
glad I'm getting paid as well a lot of money because I'm going to be spending a bit at the merch stands that night.
Yeah, same.
That's all I'm going to say.
If there's a new like KO singlet, I want it. And
I do want the Sami Zayn t-shirts.
I kind of want the Sami Zayn t-shirt, but I wouldn't mind. See, the one thing I really want.
You know what we should do?
Yeah,
we should do a video and create our own, sort of like our loot unboxing.
Of all the shit we bought it.
Done.
Yeah,
like, we'll put them in boxes and we'll just we'll do a video.
Yeah.
And we'll show people what we bought from WWE Live.
Oh, sweet. And I'm gonna take a camera and we're gonna film a bunch of shit while we're there too.
Done.
Like all the entrances and shit and all the crowd reactions. I reckon we're gonna do that. Anyway.
And Facebook Live stuff.
Yeah. Off topic once again. It happens. All right. So we've got our first 2 picks for each brand. The big dark horse is Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Does he get picked early in the draft, or do they wait a little bit? Like, is he going top 5 or not?
No.
Don't reckon?
I'm going to put it down now. This is my prediction now. You've heard it first. Reigns will not be in the top 5. I'd say he'd be a 6 or 7.
Depending, like, whichever brand he goes to.
Yeah.
And you got to think, if
he'll be on Raw, though, with Rollins and Ambrose.
So you reckon the whole Shield?
The whole Shield will go because they will build... They're going to build a massive program with those 3 running amok for the title.
Yeah.
Reigns winning it in the near future, I don't see it. I think Rollins and Ambrose will be trading the titles back and forth for a little bit.
Yeah.
Over the 6 to 12 months. But Reigns will be sort of like that third person. It'll be similar to Evolution when you had Triple H, Randy Orton and Batista basically fighting over the world title at one point. You know, Batista was almost there.
Yeah.
But it was traded between H and Orton.
Yeah. And then Batista won his Rumble and there you go. Alright, so first 2. No Reigns in the top 5 for either brand.
No.
My next gut reaction is that they immediately split up Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
I can see that happening.
So Shane, you got to think is going to go Sami Zayn, and then Steph would be all about Kevin Owens.
Yep.
Their chemistry backstage whenever they do interact is fantastic. I love it. So I reckon those 2 are going next. Like they're upper mid card guys, not quite main event yet, but they're fucking good in the ring. The crowd loves them, so you got to think that's high value for both general managers. So Zayn is going to SmackDown. Kevin stays on Raw because Kevin is fucking awesome and he deserves to be on Raw.
I'm going to make another bold prediction in the top 5.
All right.
I think Shane is going to pick up Ruru at pick 4.
Ooh, that's not bad.
Because
US champ.
Yep. And also because they highly think, a lot of people highly think of Rusev in the company.
Yeah.
And they think that they can build him up to be something massive. And he's got the potential to be a dominant world champion in the future. And depending on where Orton goes, I think Orton will probably have a program with Rusev.
Yeah. Most
likely when he comes back, if something happens to Brock Lesnar, which we've mentioned a couple of times in this podcast already.
Yes.
Or once, what I've also been reading up is that apparently Orton Styles are going to be basically targeting the world title on SmackDown, which means that John Cena will be engaging yet again in another feud with Rusev and elevating the United States Championship and making it sort of like the next best thing on SmackDown.
And Rusev actually wins this feud. That'd be nice.
And don't bury Rusev.
Please don't. He's fantastic. I love him.
Just that tank entrance. She was
so... Oh, it was so good. Anyway, alright, so that's our top 3, and then you reckon Rusev at 4 for SmackDown?
Yep.
Who at 4? So, US title's gone. Do you reckon the IC title goes at number 4 for Raw?
Yep.
So,
Miz.
assuming it's going to be still Miz. It's a really high pick for Miz. It's really high. But he is the champ, so I can sort of look past that.
Or maybe there could be a thing where Miz maybe bribes Stephanie into being a high draft pick because he's got all his money from Hollywood.
Yeah, it could be something stupid like that. Like I see that happening. So I think if you want to, like that's it. If you do want to elevate the mid card titles, pick them high. It makes them feel bigger, and then maybe Darren Young wins.
Please just get John Morrison back. I want Miz.
I
want Miz and Morrison to be together with Maurice because that would be I would be happy for them to be tag team champions one day again.
Yeah. Well, apparently
because they can have the dirt sheet back.
Yeah.
They can and be good as well because Morrison can come out with Miz and all that, and they can use the words "be jealous" because every time they came out together, it's like "be jealous" because like they were sort of like that arrogant group. They were just like be jealous of us because we've got our good looks.
They were fucking great. I loved them. They were so good.
They were the best thing about ECW.
Yeah. So. Speaking of, I think we mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago. We don't know if John Morrison has actually re-signed his Lucha Underground contract because they have apparently started filming season 3 already. So
apparently Mysterio hasn't re-signed either.
Yeah, so there's 2 potential big names coming back. So we'll see.
Maybe we should. We should probably mention because they've been teasing for a while now.
Yep.
Who comes back to the company? Which veterans do you think will be picked? They're on SmackDown that we don't know of.
Yep.
And WWE at the moment they've been really good with this whole we're bringing back some former established stars to sort of help the talent out a little bit and put the pull up a little bit, and they've been really good because we don't know who exactly is coming back.
No,
we don't know.
No,
but with the return of Rhino, Tajiri, Brian Kendrick, you got to think that those 3 in particular will get called up to the main roster and have like sort of one more giant run, and then names have floated around as well over the last few weeks. Tommy Dreamer, MVP, John Morrison, Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, their names have been floating around.
Yeah,
it's weird because we don't know what's going to happen with these established stars.
No, we don't.
We know they're coming back. We just don't know who's coming back.
Yeah, that's it. You got to think the amount of word about Kurt Angle. It's going to happen. Probably as a part-time role, not going to be wrestling that much, but pairing him with American Alpha, new team Angle, I'm cool with that.
They're probably going to wait until Angle's finished his indie dates before they talk to him about bringing him back to the company, though, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm thinking...
He's got one match with Cody Rhodes in November, and I think he's got 2 more matches before that one. I think the Rhodes Angle match is the last match he's got before his indie dates finish up.
Yeah, so could be a Royal Rumble surprise entrant. That'd be cool.
Apparently Cody Rhodes leaving it's all been a work. Apparently him leaving, that's what they've been saying as well. That's what I've been reading.
I heard that. I'm like, that doesn't seem like it's a really long con to play because if they've talked about bringing him back on like a Legends contract, I'm like,
yep,
he's not really a legend. Like I get like legend contracts are weird because you can come and do dates for WWE, but you can also go and do your own indie stuff. Like
Kevin Nash has done it.
Yeah, Kevin Nash and like what's his name? Jim Duggan has done it. Like he's come and wrestled in Australia, but he's still contracted to WWE. So it's this really weird thing with Cody Rhodes. It's like
Scott Hall and X-Pac have done it too.
Yeah,
they're on Legends contracts.
Yeah, so but like Cody, not really a legend. He's just a guy that they probably got rid of a bit prematurely. And now they're just like, oh, we fucked up. Because it really feels like they did. Like, he's such a fucking good... even though he wanted to leave, I guess, it was sort of like a mutual kind of thing.
Because he didn't want to be the Stardust.
Yeah.
He wanted to be himself because he wanted to keep his father's name going.
Yeah, and it was like, well... Yeah, it was weird. It was a whole weird thing with him leaving. But like guys like Sandow, like that would be perfect for the brand split.
They would.
Chuck him in a mid-card role on whichever one you want. It'd be fucking great. Anyway, so more legends, or more returns. John Morrison, because there's been no word of him re-signing with Lucha Underground.
And he's been in talks with WWE as well for the last few months.
Yeah, I think, and he's expressed interest to come back. He's always said he wanted to come back and at some point and do another stint with WWE, so now's a good time. Same with Mysterio, I think he'd come back. But he'd be limited because of his 2 shotty knees. Yeah, he would be... Like, I'd like to see him in a mentor role with a lot of the other luchas that are coming up.
Like Lucha Dragons would be good.
There is a lot more sort of lucha-style wrestlers coming through, especially with the Cruiserweight Classic. If any of those guys potentially do get signed, which I think a couple of them do or will, he could be a good mentor for them on how to make, yourself as a cruiserweight stand out in the land of the Giants.
Apparently, Paul Heyman's talked to Will Ospreay about bringing him over to WWE as well, because Heyman's in the UK at the moment.
Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did, because Heyman's in the UK at the moment doing some shows.
Yep.
And apparently he's sitting down and talking to bring Will Ospreay to the WWE. Because Heyman thinks highly of him.
Apparently, because they were doing the stuff with Kenny from What Culture. And with his company, Inside the Ropes, I think it's called. So doing the Q&A, Will Ospreay's in attendance. And Heyman sees him, gets Will Ospreay up onto the stage, and offered him a fucking contract. On stage. And Will Ospreay had no fucking idea. Like, he had no... There wasn't like a planned spot or anything. It was like, just out of nowhere, offers him a contract. That is huge. Obviously, he didn't accept it or anything. He just sort of was like, "What?" They had no fucking idea. Because obviously, I think Will Ospreay's got a bunch of commitments in the Indies and New Japan
and WCPW.
Yeah. So not going to see him in NXT or WWE for a while. But the fact that he's got offered a contract by Paul Heyman, that is huge. So obviously, someone out there has got a keen eye on this kid. Him and I think Ricochet. There's been talks about wanting to bring him up as well.
He's going to be in Australia in a couple of weeks.
Really?
He's going to be in Melbourne in a couple of weeks. He's wrestling for PCW.
What night?
Friday the 29th of July and Saturday the 30th of July.
Shit, I'm working. Fuck!
But yeah, he's doing 2 nights there.
Oh, man. I wish I wasn't working. Anyway.
Carlito's also another name that's been sprung up to mind.
Bring him with the Shining Stars.
You'd save the Shining Stars and just rename them the Colons.
Colognes.
I've been up to 4 hours.
That's alright, I got home from work at 4 a.m. this morning. We're both sort of fucking out of it right now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Carlito would be good with the Colognes.
The Colognes, yes. That would... Oh, shit. Oh, you can't
write the stuff.
You can't write that, people.
Oh my god.
Alright, so... Who else? Who are some more legends that...
Shelton Benjamin?
Shelton Benjamin. He'd be fucking great. He said he wants to come back.
He does.
The Hardys have both said they wanted to come back.
Jeff Hardy wants to do a Shane McMahon. He wants to be on Hamilton.
Let them fucking do whatever they're... Because that feud's still going, apparently.
Oh, no.
The feud's not done.
No.
It's Broken Matt versus fucking Brother Nero.
He's now called Brother Nero on TNA.
I know. Because you're not allowed to use the Hardy name anymore. Which is... Why does he use... I suppose Willow's not Matt Hardy.
No.
Isn't it the gimmick?
Willow's Jeff Hardy.
Oh, sorry. Willow's not... But he's not...
Jeff Hardy.
Not Jeff Hardy. Yeah.
But we all know it is.
I know.
And, they're basically kidnapping TNA camera crew and they're just going out and filming their own shit.
I can't wait for the next... There's going to be another one of these, isn't there?
Yeah, but
I can't wait.
But you know what the best thing about it is? Matt Hardy does some of the editing because he edits all his YouTube videos because Matt Hardy's a keen YouTuber. He's always YouTubing his own stuff as well.
Thoughts from the Throne, which I think is a great name for a YouTube show, actually.
Also, he talks about his daily life and what he does.
Damn.
Which is
he's completely out of kayfabe when he does Thoughts from the Throne.
Yeah,
it's great.
I love it. And I think his last video he actually kept his Broken Matt Hardy gimmick going.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had the voice on everything. It's pretty cool. Go check it out.
Yeah, do that.
It'd be pretty cool though. Probably a few names that they're wrestling up from the Indies. Jay Lethal still has not re-signed with Ring of Honor, and apparently he's due to lose it in the next month or two, and then go over to WWE because he's had in and out talks with Triple H about bringing him over.
Triple H is big on this guy, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's really big on this guy.
I'm big on this guy too because I've seen him from his TNA days as well, when he was the Black Machismo, and then when he mocked Ric Flair, which was probably still the funniest bit of wrestling I've seen in a while.
And then it
was so cool just seeing him and Ric Flair have a woo-off because Jay Lethal had the suit, he had the voice, he had the mannerisms, and just him and Ric Flair just going back and forth was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of charisma, Jay Lethal, and whether he's a face or a heel, WWE needs someone like him.
Yes, they do.
He's been such a good heel because Taylor Hendricks, who was on TNA as well, she's Jay Lethal's manager. She's the one that has helped Jay Lethal keep the title for so long. But even bring Taylor Hendricks over with Jay Lethal would be good as well. Probably another one from my wish list is Mike Bennett and Maria from TNA. Bring them over to WWE because I'm high on Mike Bennett. I've seen his stuff from Ring of Honor. He's good. I've seen bits and pieces from him in TNA from what I've been watching. He's phenomenal. Maria is such a great heel now. Like, they can completely forget that she was just the ditzy dumbass, 10 years ago when she was the backstage interviewer, flirting with the Big Show on a week-in, week-out basis. We'll pretend it never happened, and we'll just pretend that Maria is now this heel, this very dominant woman, and that her man will do anything to get what he wants.
Yeah, that's another one that is potential just because she has the history with the company. He's never wrestled for WWE?
No,
okay.
Because they will, I think, because they got married, I think, while they were together in Ring of Honor.
Okay. So that's another potential one. I think, I'm trying to think of anyone else. There's obviously a bunch of indie guys. That
Would they bring back EC3?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because him and Drew Galloway have been shooting on WWE Evolve at WWE's sort of like collaboration company. What they've been coming to shows. They've been attacking the wrestlers. They've been coming in. They've been spitting stuff about WWE, about how they were mistreated by the company, how Vince never saw anything in them, how they've gone on to bigger and better things since leaving the big company.
Yeah, well, if they feel that way, they can stay away from WWE if they like. I mean, I get where they're coming from, and they weren't utilising poor Drew Galloway. Ended up in fucking 3-man band for Christ's sake. And somehow Heath Slater still has a job there. I'll never understand you, WWE. You're a confusing thing. But yeah, like
Job Squad 6.0 with Heath Slater.
Yeah. Now he's all. Oh no, he's not by himself. He's got the fucking Outcasts.
Yeah. Job Squad 6.0.
Yeah. I don't know if they're at this point like that. Whether it's a shoot or a work, whether they're that sort of venomous about their time with WWE, I don't think WWE has any time for them to come back. It's like, well, look, we gave you some opportunity, I guess, especially with EC3, not much of an opportunity, but we gave you an opportunity, you didn't work out with the company, you're now doing bigger and better things in a smaller company, why not just stay there and be a big fish in a small pond?
Yeah, congratulations on your success.
Yes, that's like guys like that who don't really seem to have any want or need to come back to WWE, don't come back to WWE.
Because the only reason why Drew Galloway lost his momentum in the WWE is because he hadn't sold a battery charge against Tiffany.
Well, yeah, that's going to fuck up your career, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And she went to jail for it and he didn't.
Oh, that's weird. God damn.
Well, she got released and he got demoted, basically.
Yeah. Well, he was Vince McMahon's golden boy.
He was. Vince thought really highly of him.
Just like... Yeah.
Big, tall Scots man with a good chiseled body.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put a belt around you, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
It kind of reminds me of Big Cass. They got a similar frame.
They do.
Yeah. Big Cass, no assault and battery. Stick to being a good wrestler and you'll go far in this business, I'll tell you that much.
Treat Carmella well because you've got a great woman and a great career.
She needs to come up. She needs to come up ASAP.
Yeah.
Because I really hope they don't split them up. But if they do...
Big Cass with Carmella?
No, Enzo with Carmella. I think works better. Like, Big Cass can stand on his own, he's all good. But Enzo needs someone to bounce off to be really effective.
Or if they do split them up... If they did split them up... Yeah. They could be a bit of a jealous storyline where Carmella's very buddy-buddy with Enzo and Cass takes real offense to it and Cass turns heel on Enzo.
That could work. He would be a good heel. He's a big fucking dude. So that'd be great.
And plus it'd be similar to the Chris Jericho, Christian Trish Stratus storyline.
Yeah.
And maybe potentially Carmella could turn on Enzo, slap him in the face, Cass wins over Enzo, and then Cass and Carmella on the stage similar to WrestleMania 20 with Christian and Trish. And they're just making out on stage and just see Enzo's heartbreak. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be alright.
Like, we haven't had a love triangle that works in a very long time.
Fucking right, we're like, Jesus Christ. Ruru and fucking Ziggler. That to me was like, no more love stories. No more. It doesn't work in WWE. It's dumb. It's stupid. Be done with it. It does not work anymore.
That was the worst feud in history.
Yeah, no, it's got to be over because it does not work at all.
No.
Anyway, yeah, I think have we done? We're done.
Yeah.
In nearly an hour. I think we've done everything we can sort of touch on.
Because there's so many superstars that we don't know. We'll find out Wednesday.
Yes. So I'm going around to yours.
Yep.
And we're going to watch it live. see what happens.
Fox 8. I've got a new couch as well.
Oh, cool. Nice. So yeah, we're going to go around and watch it, and we'll be live tweeting from the StrayaMania Twitter account, which you can follow at StrayaMania on Twitter. Just search StrayaMania, and you'll find us. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at that as well. We have this podcast on iTunes or whatever podcast listening device program app you have. Just search StrayaMania. You will find us.
Or Podbean.
Search us on there. You'll find us there as well.
Podbean, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to. We love you guys. We love your work. Keep it up.
You take our money. It's cool. YouTube, also, podcast is on there. I'm working on SoundCloud, getting it in other places as well, so you can listen to it sort of wherever you need to listen to it. And I think that's about it. Except for our Twitters, I'm at Ricki Needs, RICKINEEDS.
I'm at Tomo Media, THOMMOMEDIA.
Awesome. And yeah, I guess as of next Thursday, Australian time, so Friday, Wednesday everywhere else? Yeah, Wednesday everywhere else. On the other side of the world. We'll be going weekly, so we will be trying to work it out.
5 today.
Woohoo!
Weekly.
So yeah, we will be doing our podcast every Thursday Australian time. So whatever that translates to your time zone, boom, it'll be up then. So yeah, we'll be breaking down Raw, SmackDown, NXT every week. Every Friday Australian time again, we'll be doing our predictions for that pay-per-view, whichever week a pay-per-view's on. Probably going to be twice a month now, based on what we reckon is going to happen with this brand split. Dear Lord,
more podcasting, more
so many podcasts.
It's going to be so good as well. But next week in particular, for our first weekly show, it's going to be massive because we're going to be talking about Raw the night before the draft. We're going to be breaking down the draft from start to finish, and plus what happened on NXT as well, and what this means for NXT, because we'll find out who has gone up to the main roster and what this means for the state of NXT and how they can sort of salvage losing all their top stars.
Yeah, so it's going to be a massive one. And then, of course, the following day will be our predictions for Battleground.
Yeah, because Battleground's the week after.
It is. So
it's a big few weeks coming up for everyone in StrayaMania, for everyone in wrestling in general.
Whew.
It's massive.
I'm tired just thinking about it. And I've got to go to work. God damn.
So do I.
Anyway... We're done. All right, we'll catch you next week after all of this has happened, and yeah, we'll be breaking it all down.
See you next week.
See ya.